Hey, it's Kelly. Welcome back to my channel where we talk all about gentle skincare, sometimes self-care, and today we're talking 5 Asian Beauty water-resistant sunscreens. 'Tis the season. You may be looking for a sunscreen that can hold up to water, to sweat, to outdoor activities so that it can protect your skin a little bit better in these summer months. Am I right? So today I'm going to be testing out 5 different Asian Beauty sunscreens that claim water resistance. So if you're ready to dive into these 5 different products, give the video a big thumbs up and let's get started. Over the last couple of months, I have been testing out 5 different water-resistant rated Asian Beauty sunscreens. And I have to say, through my testing, I have found that these generally hold up well to sweat and to activity. But I'm going to be completely honest with you, I still don't feel 100% comfortable wearing any of the products in today's video for swimming. That's a whole different ballgame in my personal opinion. If you're going into the water for any period of time, I would really suggest that you check out my sweaty sunscreen video from last year where I talk a little bit more about those really heavy duty, not super elegant, let's be honest, right? But water resistant sunscreens that I think are going to hold up to beach days, water, and swimming a lot better. But if you're looking for something to hold up to sweat, to a lot of activity outside, I do think that there might be some options in here. And I have used my sweaty droplet rating to tell you how resistant I think that these sunscreens are to water. So the more droplets out of 5, the more water resistant I personally found this sunscreen to be. Shingmulnara Oxygen Waterproof Sun Cream. Now I'm going to give this a sweat resistance rating of 4 sweat droplets out of 5, meaning it has really good sweat resistance in my opinion. This is a hybrid sunscreen. It's using 2 mineral filters as well as chemical filters, and it's a mix of new generation and older generation filters. So the pros of this sunscreen include the large size. This is a 100 milliliter bottle. OMG. Most Korean sunscreens come in a size of 50 milliliters. So this is probably 2 times as much sunscreen as what you're currently using right now. So really good value there for the size. I know we're always complaining about the tiny sizes. This offers really good value in my personal opinion. As I mentioned, I'm rating this a 4 out of 5 sweat droplets, very water resistant. And I will say this is a product that uses artificial fragrance. There are some of those types of products in today's video. Some are fragrance free completely and some have some fragrance. I will address them and go over them when it comes up. Don't you worry. This has some artificial fragrance in it. It does not contain essential oils, drying forms of alcohol, and it doesn't contain any fragrant compounds. But there is a light floral jasmine type of scent that I think is actually quite pleasant. But I have to say, on the flip side, those were my pros of the product. The cons might for you include the artificial fragrance that is contained. And I do have another con on this product, and that is the fact that this is a Olive Young exclusive brand. That's the only place you're going to be able to find it. And maybe some resale sites, but quite honestly, Olive Young is really the only place I feel comfortable recommending that you buy this from. And so that may be prohibitive for some people. Now the texture is a traditional cream type texture, but it is actually very light. It has very good spreadability and blendability into the skin. I was actually really surprised that this was a hybrid sunscreen because I really don't detect any white cast with this. With those mineral filters, that's always a chance, especially if you do have a little bit more melanin on your skin. I have a touch, and so sometimes that can show up on my skin tone. I was really surprised that I didn't detect that at all in the texture. Beautiful spreadability, really good absorb and settle in dry time in my personal opinion, and it worked really well with makeup. I did not experience pilling with this. And what I was really surprised by with this one, and I think is actually true of the majority of the products in today's videos, there's really no shininess to this. It must have something to do with how they create the water resistance in that film with the sunscreen. So this was actually one of my favorite of the bunch. You know, testing out all 5 of these sunscreens over the last couple of months, this was the one that I reached for the most and the one that felt very comfortable on my skin and that I just really liked. You know, I did give it a very high water resistant rating. This really stood up to sweat. sweat very, very well. You know, I have to say, I put this through the ringer. I wore it a lot for workouts, definitely checking in to see, was I getting the white streaks as the sunscreen melted off of my skin, because I was like head to toe dripping in sweat. Absolutely not. I could still feel the sunscreen on my skin. I use this for some gardening, for some lawn care work. Definitely felt very protected with this. I did not feel like it was wiping off of my skin with my sweat. I feel like it really held up nicely. And while I could definitely feel that I needed to be thorough with my cleansing process at the end of the day from wearing this, I didn't feel like I had to like really work at it, if you know what I mean. Like, it's harder to remove than your non-resistant sunscreens, but it's not so hard to remove that you're paranoid that, you know, it's clogging your skin because you didn't remove all of it, or you really had to rub and tug at your skin. I do feel like it works very nicely underneath makeup, because it did have like a nice little kind of almost like a grippy base to it at the top, just very mild, that it could replace primer, maybe, depending on your skin type and all of that, right? But I felt like it worked really nicely underneath makeup. I'm not one for talking about fragrance products. This is somewhat new territory for me, so I like that it didn't irritate my skin first and foremost. But I did like the pleasant jasmine scent that it provided. It was not heavy. It was not headache inducing. Next up, Dr. Ceuracle Cica Regen Water Sun. Now this is a chemical sunscreen offering SPF 50 plus PA plus 4 protection using 4 all new generation chemical filters. And I'm going to give this a rating of 2 sweat droplets out of 5 for the water resistance. We do have testing for this sunscreen from Dr. Ceuracle. The testing revealed an SPF of 75. This is where water resistance comes in and really helps to give us better protection for our skin. I promise you, the water resistance is a big reason why this rates so highly with the SPF. The PA is rating at a 21, which is actually quite high. Most K-beauty sunscreens that get a PA plus 4 rating are coming in at about 16. So this is offering much better UVA protection. So really just a very protective sunscreen overall. So the pros of this sunscreen: the large size. We have another 100 milliliter sunscreen. So if you're looking for value, I do believe that this provides that, especially for the size, right? This is a fragrance-free formula. Yay! So those of you looking for no artificial fragrance, no essential oils, no fragrant compounds, none are found here, and no drying forms of alcohol in this as well. And you know, this is offering good protection. Now the cons: for being water resistant and actually very protective, just in my testing and my personal experience, out of the bunch that we're testing, I did rate this 2 sweat droplets out of 5. This is definitely offering some sweat resistance for sure. It's just not the most. I think if you're in a humid climate and you just need sunscreen to stand up to the sweat that is inevitable the moment you step out your door, your whole body has like a nice little fine layer of moisture on it because of the humidity. This is a sunscreen that will hold up to that, in my opinion. If you're gonna be like hiking, biking, really working hard outside, and you're somebody who sweats a lot, I am, this may not be the very, very best choice for that particular instance. So the texture is kind of an essence-y cream-like texture. I think it's still really lightweight. It provides some hydration and a little kiss of moisture with really good spreadability and blendability into the skin. It is an all chemical filter sunscreen. I didn't really detect any white cast with this one, and it leaves your skin feeling kind of soft and moisturized at the top. And there's maybe a kiss of dew. I would not call this shiny. I wouldn't even call this like a glass skin type of sunscreen, but there's just a little bit of a little moisturized kind of look to this that I think is actually quite nice. So I do like this sunscreen. It definitely feels like some of my favorite K-beauty sunscreens with that more essence-like feel, a little hydration, a little bit of moisture. It feels skincare-like, if you will. So I do like how this feels and how it performed on my skin. You know, I didn't detect any white cast, as I mentioned, no pilling on reapplication. I think this worked well underneath makeup. But the one thing that struck me a lot about this is that it just really was not super water resistant, as I've kind of already covered. A little bit of sweat and humidity, it holds up. A lot of bit of sweat and humidity, like really active outdoor sporty sunscreen, it wouldn't be my first choice. I do think it will be better than non-resistant sunscreens. sunscreens. Do not get me wrong here, right? I'm kind of grading everything in the on a curve with all the other products in the video. But if you just need something that's going to hold up to a humid climate, or you're just kind of incidentally sweating, or you just love that good protection that this provides and that large size, this is a really good option. But certainly, as I mentioned, not something you want to go to the beach with, not something that you want to be outdoors long time, working hard, really sweating. But I do think it's a very good, gentle, fragrance-free option for a little bit of light sweat resistance. Missha All Around Safe Block Waterproof Sun Milk. This offers SPF 50 plus PA plus 4 protection. So they're using 5 sunscreen filters. 1 is a mineral filter and 4 are chemical filters. And it's a mixture of the newer filters and the older generation filters. And I'm going to give this a rating of 2 sweat droplets out of 5 for the water resistance. Now the pros to using this sunscreen, it is a decent size. This tube is 70 milliliters, right? So like we said, established, most K-Beauty sunscreens about 50 milliliter. The 2 that we've talked about already are twice that size. So this kind of falls in the middle, but it's a little bit more. I do find that this has like a decent price, under $20. And I do find that it is widely available. I'll be honest with you, this is a product that I've avoided for many years because I know that there's things in here that do not suit my sensitive skin. I always knew it wasn't going to work for me. I want to establish that right up front. The reason that I picked this up is just because it is so popular, and so I wanted to try it and weigh in on it, and I got a good deal on it. But this is not for sensitive skin. And that brings me into the cons of this product. It is very heavily perfumed. I'm not using the word fragrance or scented. I'm using the word perfumed. It is incredibly concentrated, very potent kind of smell. It does contain some drying alcohol in here. That's not necessarily a bad thing. If you are sensitive to it like I am, it's not a fit for your skin, right? However, it can actually really be helpful in a sunscreen formulation. I'm not here to demonize this ingredient. It actually helps with the water resistance of this formula and how sunscreen protects your skin by allowing it to dry down on your skin and form that protective film faster. They're actually using a ton of fragrant compounds. Like an essential oil, the compound within the essential oil that is most responsible for the scent, that's what they're isolating. That's what these ingredients are. They're the isolated compounds like in essential oils, meaning they're highly potent and concentrated. And yeah, that means this has a lot of scent to it, which some people love, some people hate, but it also means it has a lot of fragrance that can be irritating for certain folks. So this has like kind of a milky, liquidy type of texture to it. It does spread pretty nicely on the skin and dries down really fast. That's where that denatured alcohol really comes into play. And like I said, helps the sunscreen to work harder for your skin. It dries really quickly to almost it's really interesting, almost like a powdery type of finish on the skin. I'm not really detecting any like moistness, dew, you know what I mean? It actually just leaves your skin feeling powdery and soft at the surface, which was quite pleasant. But I have to say, I detected quite a bit of white cast on this. There is a mineral filter in here. It must be working super duper hard in the formula. I noticed quite a bit of that graying, ashing out on my skin tone. This is very heavily perfumed. Kind of broke down the ingredients. There's a lot of fragrance at play here, but even the actual scent of this, I hate it so much. It is so cloying and gross. It smells like baby powder. You know what I mean? Like it has that kind of scent to it, but it's like baby powder that was like made into a perfume. Like it's so concentrated, it's so perfumey, it's almost cologne like actually. And it has that perfume cologne edge to it. That was a big turnoff. I don't mind that powdery baby scent, but it was just so thick and it just sticks with you all day long. This one I found headache inducing because it's just so hard on your nose and your senses. And I don't know, maybe I'm not used to it. Maybe I'm sensitive to fragrance in more ways than just on my skin, but I did not like it at all. This is very much like the Dr. Ceuracle in the sense that, like, I think it'll hold up to a little bit of light sweating, a little bit of humidity, but this would not be, for me personally, like an active outdoors sunscreen, in my opinion. Don't bike with this. Don't hike with this. Definitely don't go to the beach with this. I don't think it's going to hold up to those types of instances. But if you don't mind the fragrance, you want something that's maybe even a little mattifying, I think. You don't mind the white cast, and you just need something to hold up to a little bit of light sweat. I think that this could be nice. Like I said, I wanted to review it because it's popular, it's super available, it's decently affordable, right? And so it makes sense to have some experience with this product, but it's really not my favorite. Let's talk Dr. Jart Everyday Waterproof Sun Milk. This is a chemical sunscreen offering SPF 50 plus PA plus 4 protection with 4 all new generation chemical filters. I am rating this 3 sweat droplets out of 5. I think this has pretty good water resistance. Now, the pros to choosing this type of sunscreen is I love the lightweight feel of this. I think that it's a very elegant take on a water resistant sunscreen. Now, cons, let's talk about them because there's a few. And first is the size. This little guy, he's so tiny. This is 30 milliliter of product. So when I bought this, I had no idea. I didn't look at the size. I assumed it was a standard 50 milliliter sunscreen. I paid $17 for this. Regrets, right? Regrets. I don't think it's worth $17 for 2 weeks of sunscreen, maybe 2.5 weeks, right? So tiny. So it's a major con, right? And then it does have some artificial fragrance to it. No essential oils, no fragrant compounds. And by the way, no drying forms of alcohol in this sunscreen, but we do have artificial fragrance. And I do find it to not be on the lighter side. I do think that it is more of a medium kind of presence and something that will stick with you throughout the day. So this has a really nice light, almost gel cream type of texture. It actually is quite hydrating. It feels really nice. It blends and absorbs and spreads really, really nicely, and it dries down very quickly and sets on the skin fast. You know, probably one of the lighter sunscreens that we're talking about in today's video. So if you don't want anything that feels heavy or feels super moisturizing, creamy on the skin, this is probably one of the lightest ones. Like I said, it's almost closer to performing and feeling like a gel on the skin than it is a cream. So I really like that. And I would say that this is a neutral to a satin finish. There's not a lot of dew to this at all. So again, if you don't want something that makes you look like a disco ball, this would be a great one, except for the size, right? Scent. Another floral, jasmine heavy type of scent here. And it's a little bit more edging on perfume than just like a light fragrance. I do like how this performed though when it comes to water resistant. Like I said, I did give it a 3 sweat droplets out of 5. I do think that this held up really nicely, especially to sweating. I think that this was still fairly easy to remove given the water resistance, right? At the end of the day, pretty easy to get off with just double cleansing method. I like that there wasn't any white cast to this, no pilling. I think that this worked well underneath makeup because it really was, like I said, just like very light and thin. And I think that, yeah, I think it's nice, but I just can't get over the size. I really kind of regret, I mean, for the video, it's worth it, right? But like, I kind of regret spending so much money on such a tiny sunscreen. And especially something that has a scent that I feel like, I don't always want to smell like that. You know what I mean? The day that I wore it, I was like, did I put perfume on? Because that's how much I was smelling it. But for kind of a more sportier type of sweaty sunscreen, this performed pretty decently as long as you don't mind that small size. You got money to spend on sunscreens, right? And you don't mind the scent. Skin Aqua UV Super Moisture Milk. This offers SPF 50 plus PA plus 4 protection. It's a hybrid sunscreen. It uses 3 sunscreen filters. One is mineral, one is an older generation chemical filter, and one is a newer generation chemical filter. And I'm rating this 4 sweat droplets out of 5. It's very water resistant, very strong against water. This was actually reformulated in 2023. It used to contain denatured alcohol. It no longer does. So I'm going to put that in a pro column because I know some people do struggle with this ingredient. So no drying forms of alcohol in this one. It also doesn't contain any fragrance. Going to put that in the pro column as well. So I think that that is really great. And again, a lot of J Beauty sunscreens don't contain fragrance. Certainly some do, but there's a lot more variety for fragrance-free options in my personal opinion. And there is a published water-resistant rating of up to 80 minutes. And that's another big difference I see with J Beauty versus K Beauty. None of the K Beauty water-resistant sunscreens had any type of rating like that. Now, a con of using this sunscreen, you may have noticed, this is a tiny little baby. 40 milliliters. So we got 10 more milliliters than Dr. Jart, but it is still a little bit smaller than what you might be used to. However, I have to say, I think the price is very fair for the amount of product you're getting. This is $10. I paid $10 for this. And if you were like closer to Japan or traveling in Japan, you could probably get this for more like $5. It is the value and the size and everything, I think, is very much in line. So this has a milky, runny type of texture. It blends into the skin really nicely. I really didn't detect a white cast, although it does include a mineral filter. I didn't really see that on my skin, so I liked how this spread and applied. It dries down very quickly, and it almost has a slight powderiness to it. It's a really interesting feel. It definitely has a little bit more of a kiss of emolliency and moisture that you feel. You don't necessarily see it, but you feel it on your skin, and then almost like a little grippy, powdery type of finish that actually makes it a beautiful base for makeup. This is probably my second favorite from the video, to be completely honest with you. I was really impressed with how it stood up to a lot of sweat, and this is one that I would say if you're going to be really active outside, because you may have noticed that said, oh, it will hold up to humidity or some light sweat, but I wouldn't like go and be super active outside with it. You can go and be active with this. I think you would be happy with how this stays on the skin, how it grips and protects the skin, but especially if you're somebody who also likes to wear makeup, this really performs nicely as a makeup base, in my opinion, as well. Just like nice, smooth kind of canvas, if you will. So I really liked how it performed. It held up to heavy sweating. This was one where, again, I think double cleansing will take care of it for you, but you will need to work a little bit more to get this off of your skin to remove it. Which I think speaks to some of the water resistance, right? I just think it's a really well-performing, water-resistant, elegant J Beauty sunscreen. Alcohol, it does play a bigger role in Japanese sunscreen formulations. And so it's a little harder, not impossible, a little harder to find. So I was really excited to find this one, to find that it had been reformulated. I really like it. The only thing, and this is more of like a Kelly problem than it is like a Skin Aqua problem. The zinc oxide that they're using, that mineral sunscreen filter, I personally find that filter can make my skin feel a little dry, a little dehydrated. It's just, there's something about that just does not like suit my skin chemistry. I could feel it a little bit in the sunscreen. It's not a fully mineral sunscreen, to be clear, but I could just feel that zinc, after a few hours of wearing this, I could feel that my skin was getting a little bit more tight throughout the day. Not a major issue, but I want to mention that because I know some folks who watch my channel do actually struggle with similar issues as I do. I did notice it a little bit. It's not super bothersome, especially if this is something I'm picking up when I'm more active and not as an everyday sunscreen. It's really, really nice to have. Even for the tiny size, I don't feel like I was ripped off. I feel like it was a very fair value to the price and size. So I hope you enjoyed exploring some of these picks with me, because water resistance isn't always that easy to find in Asian beauty. So hopefully this video was helpful. If you have some water resistant faves that I didn't mention today, please drop them in the comments below. And if this video helped you out, please give it a big thumbs up. It definitely helps, but also hit subscribe if you haven't already. Come join our community and turn on notifications so you're never out of the loop. I post a lot throughout the week here on YouTube. I hope you are healthy, happy, and safe wherever you are in the world. I love you so, so much, and I'll talk to you in the next video. See you soon.